Welcome to the podcast, Living by Oak Values. I am Robert, an overlord celebrated for his benevolence, and my friend Gary, the authentic, adventurous father, life coach, and superior mailman. Join us today as we dive deep and share meaningful stories and discuss the values that help shape our lives. We'll explore how we use these values to guide us through life, shaping our decisions, our relationships, and raising our kids. We are embracing the journey of personal growth and navigating our own paths. We are committed to living by these values, passing them on to our children. We are thrilled to have you here and can't wait to share our latest episodes. Whether you're a longtime listener or now discovering us, welcome. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comments below and check us out at northmancoaching.com. You're welcome to join our community, Northman Legacy Crew, and let us know what topics you are most interested in hearing about. Sign up with your emails for behind the scenes, sneak peeks, and exciting updates. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Happy listening.
This week, Rob and I will be discussing the value attentive. Being attentive is important because it improves communication, understanding, problem solving, learning, and relationship building. It also will allow you to be fully present in the moment and make the most of your interactions with others. So, Rob, I have a quote that I got from Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Really?
Yes, and he once said, "Now I can look back and say I actually liked the upbringing I had, and my father was a very attentive and great educator." What do you think about that?
Hmm. That's actually pretty cool for his father. To say something like that about your father, that's pretty impressive, to tell you the truth.
I agree. We just talked about it this morning. Like
Yeah.
to look back, I'm sure that in his upbringing, he probably, in fact, I read his book and I know that he was not fond of his father growing up. Uh, and to look back, as an adult and say, yes, I'm fond of him. He was a great educator. That's great. That's awesome. And we talked about that earlier
Mm-hmm.
today and
Yep.
how we have to be, what was the word we used? Sure of ourselves to know that when our child comes and says, I hate you, or you're terrible, that it's just a moment that will pass.
Yes. Yes.
So
And you shared a story with me about when you're going through your before your divorce, etc., etc. Would you like to elaborate?
sure, absolutely. So before my divorce, I was not attentive. I didn't pay attention to what my wife was saying. I don't even know that I paid attention to other people in my life that I was friends with. But I was not attentive. I didn't listen to the things she would say. You would go in one ear and out the other. And because of my lack of attentiveness, that eventually led to our divorce. And now I'm more attentive with, a girlfriend I would have, or even you or my daughter, because I realize the importance of paying attention and being aware and being able to have a conversation and have a real relationship because I'm listening and I'm attentive. So I am attentive with all the people that are important to me now.
So, how did you recognize that that was a problem in your divorce?
Well, she said that. um, but also because with the work I've been doing, the men's work and just improving myself every day, that I've realized and learned how important it is to be attentive.
So, how did you improve yourself on being attentive?
I just listened. Now I listen. I didn't listen because I didn't want to.
Mm.
It wasn't important to me. The only thing important to me, I think, was working, making money, making sure that my family was, financially okay. Everything else kind of just went second and third, I guess. So yeah. So I paid attention at work. That was important because I had to
Mm-hmm.
make the money to pay the bills and the rent, the mortgage, whatever. But as far as my wife was concerned, I didn't really care.
Mm-hmm.
But even now, I still talk to my ex-wife, and now I listen to her, so I care now. So it wasn't her, it was me, and I needed that work to improve myself and learn, and here I am.
I could say I was in the same boat, actually.
Okay.
It wasn't until I read the book, Before Agreements, I think it was. One of those was like Don't Assume. And then one of his other books was talking about how everybody tells their own story. And it not necessarily is everything the truth. So And then I started to realize that listening to people and not saying something is kind of a better thing to do than sitting there in my head going, nope, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Instead, I just pay attention. And you're right. After doing all this men's work where you're on a call with 50 or 60 guys sometimes, and you're constantly listening to them and realizing that just by listening helps them, being attentive to their stories and asking questions after they get done and saying, hey, so how did that help you this week, or et cetera, et cetera. Listening to their stories and then go back and uh, emphasizing that you listen to their stories, it really helps them process their story and helps them move from a stage of hurt to a stage of healing.
I couldn't agree more. And on that note, when we're coaching people, not only do you have to listen to them and be attentive to what they're saying, because if you're not being attentive, then you can't help them.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the point of all this work if we can just sit there and they're talking and we can't even help because we're not paying attention? So you have to pay attention. And another thing I wanted to say about my marriage before it ended is I think I didn't pay attention to a lot of things because there was a lot of negativity in my marriage,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of put downs. And I'm bringing this up because you brought up the 4 agreements. And one of the 4 agreements is don't take things personally.
Yep.
I took everything personally back when I was married. And when there was some negative or a put down of some sort, I was hurt. So I stopped listening.
Mm-hmm.
That was my defense mechanism, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
to not being hurt was I just didn't listen.
Mm-hmm.
So don't take things personally, but be attentive.
Well, see that transitions into the next little story is being with my girlfriend now. She starts saying things that are judgmental or accusatory, and it brings a red flag into my head and says, Robert, don't take it personal. Robert, be careful. Something's going on. And I have to be attentive of seeing her mood swings, I guess. And so that may indicate that something is wrong with her. And as long as I know who I am and I'm authentic as me, um, and I pay close attention to what she starts to, how she acts or what she says, because it may contradict each other from one minute to the next. And if I can pay close attention and I don't jump to conclusions and assume that she's out to get me, sometimes I just need to let her process it her way. And she'll come back around and say, oh, this was nothing about you. And as long as I remain calm, listen, and attentiveness, it just helps. Um, uh, it helps. It helps her process and me process. So yeah,
Okay, I get that. And that's all due to this work. Like,
yeah.
so if back when you were married, how would that go if your wife accused you of
Oh,
something?
I would have took it personal, just like you said. I would have took it personal. I would have back talk. I wouldn't have even paid attention that she was hurting from something else. Yeah, and you hit on a fact that one of the quotes we brought up is from Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Is I learned that people will forget what you say, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I have a feeling that's why this is so important. Is because as you're being attentive, you make that person feel heard and feel appreciated.
I could not agree with that more and what you just said. And for the listeners to make it more simple, I'm just started now thinking about like Christmas as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the gift I might have gotten
Mm-hmm.
or what was said as I received the gift, but I remember so many Christmases where I was over the top, joyed, excited. I couldn't believe what I got for Christmas because I remember how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the gift. I don't remember what was said, but I remember being very happy with my gifts.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yeah, uh, mirroring and it also helps because you also remember other people who are attentive to you, because it's kind of like, oh, you understand me because you're listening to me, you're responding, actively responding, I guess. And it helps develop empathy and compassion
Absolutely.
relationship with each other. So yeah.
Absolutely. Empathy is all just about understanding, really. And if I'm attentive, then I can understand where you're coming from.
Hmm.
And on that note, I find when I have a conversation with somebody who is not listening,
Mm.
that I just, in the future, I choose not to talk to them anymore. Like, I don't want to talk to that person about anything that's not, if it's my personal life, or even if it's work related or anything. If I know they're not listening, then what's the point?
Mm.
I can talk to the mirror all day. Well, I'm not going to talk to somebody that is not paying attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Because how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel, what is the word? Uh, I don't know, just empty, or makes me feel unimportant.
Mm.
So it's not really a feeling, but
Yeah.
I feel unimportant. Like
Yeah.
I'm just another guy talking, and the words coming out of my mouth they're worth nothing.
So to all the listeners out there, how do you practice or incorporate attentiveness in your life? Do you have somebody to talk to? You are welcome to reach out to me and Gary at Gary at northmancoaching.com. Um, and speaking of attentiveness, Gary shares with his group all the time about a habit he does with his daughter. Would you mind sharing us how you're attentive with your daughter?
Absolutely, yeah. So I sit down on her bed every morning and wake her up, and I ask her, how she slept, and I ask her her intentions for the day, and just I try to just be attentive and listen to everything, her dreams that she might remember, or what she wants to do today, what she wants for breakfast. That's simple, but and then at nighttime I do the same thing. When she goes to bed, I sit down and said, how was your day? What are your wins? What are your losses? What was it today a success, and how can we make tomorrow better? And just those few minutes every morning and every night, I know they make her feel like I'm attentive all the time, and I'm there, and I am. But morning and night, that's like the beginning and the end of the day. So I think in her head, it feels like I'm just constantly there.
All right. And I suggest anybody else out there listening, try it. See how you like it. Spend 3 or 4 minutes in the morning, 3 or 4 minutes in the afternoon, talking to your child, talking to somebody that you don't talk to often, and call them up, talk to them for 3 minutes a day.
You could even talk to your wife, Rob, or your girlfriend. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be your daughter. Um, if they're important to you, give them 3 minutes in the morning and 3 minutes at night. Let them know that you care, that whatever they're saying to you, it means something.
And if you would like to go further or deeper on this topic, reach out to us, Gary at northmancoaching.com or Robert at northmancoaching.com, and go to our website for a free consultation call. And folks, that's a wrap on today's episode. And of course, thank you all for listening. We are glad that you could join us today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, Living by Oak Values. And if you feel generous, leave us a review. It really helps us out and keeps these conversations going. For more updates and exclusive contents, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, or visit our website at northmancoaching.com. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode that you don't want to miss. Until then, keep discussing your values, embracing your journey, take care, and stay authentic.